A business without a path to profit isn't a business, it's a hobby. Jason Fried. On today's episode, we're going to talk about taxes and things we need to think about as we move towards the end of the year. We're halfway through, and as crazy as it may seem, we actually need to begin thinking about 2023 tax planning. Straight up though, we still have to complete our 2022 taxes because it's my least favorite thing to do, and I push it off as far as I can. That's not good. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. This episode is brought to you by Zeus's Closet. Do you and your team wear clothes with your company's logo on them? Do you give your clients or customers promotional products to help them remember you and your company? At Zeus's Closet, we are like a tattoo shop for your clothes. We help many companies provide their entire team with branded apparel for themselves and promotional products to leave with clients and customers. Wearing branded apparel help colleagues feel like part of a team and make your company look more professional. Right now, you can save 15% on our Solopreneur package, which includes 3 polo shirts and 2 button-down shirts with your company logo simply by using the promo code BOSS. That's BOSS, B-O-S-S, at checkout. You can order a package for each team member so everyone has a shirt for each day of the week. See the link in the show notes to access the discount. My guest today spent 10 years in corporate America helping to build million-dollar brands and businesses. As the go-to numbers girl, she decided to ditch the 9-to-5 in 2011 and build her dream business instead. With just a laptop, busted printer, and nominal savings, she had a passion to help provide other businesses with financial services. My guest today embarked on a journey of providing companies with advanced financial management, support, strategies, and solutions. I cannot wait for you to hear my conversation with Octavia Conner, owner and operator of Say Yes to Profit, a virtual CFO firm. I mean, a company named Say Yes to Profits. I just had to speak to her. Take a listen to my chat with Octavia. Hi, Octavia. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
And I'm so excited too, because as a business owner, taxes drive me crazy. And I want to talk more about that. And I know you are a genius at it.
Oh, well, thank you. I love it. And yeah, I'm here to provide any insight and help that I can.
Well, I love that, because here on the Become Your Own Boss podcast, I have people who are just starting their businesses and some people who have been in it for a minute. So I have questions kind of for both of those groups of people. And first, for those who are just starting, what are some things that they really should think about when setting up their entity or their business when it comes to taxes in the very beginning?
Some of the most important things is thinking about the longevity of your company and where you see yourself, right? In several years. Sometimes new businesses will not actually form a business and they'll start off as a sole proprietor and think that, everything is okay. But the drawback to that is that as a sole proprietor, you are not allowing yourself to have some of the tax savings, deductions and credits and things like that you would have if you actually form a business. So the very first step I would say would be to think about the structure that you desire: LLC, sole proprietor, C Corp, well, not sole proprietor, but LLC, S Corp, or C Corp. Think about your structure that you want and then form that actual business and then begin to operate your business under your business structure and not just you as, your everyday person with the business, if that makes sense.
It does. So that being said, should we not start our businesses under our own name in the beginning, even from the beginning?
I think you shouldn't. I think when you are transitioning to a business owner, operate as a business owner from day one. And if you think about the large businesses out there, the Amazons and the Netflix of the world, think about how they're operating. And you want to do that from day one. So you want to start your business as a business. Now, sometimes your business could be your name, right? But even with that, you can form an LLC. So it could be your first and last name, LLC, or whatever the business structure will be. So I would definitely say, no, start your business correctly from day one.
And what are the benefits for people in starting as a business and not as a sole proprietor?
Great question. One of the biggest benefits is that as a business, when you form that business, you create what I like to call a protective barrier between you and the business. When you're operating as a sole proprietor, if someone decides to, worst case scenario, sue you, right? They can also go after your business and vice versa. But when you form that business, you create that protective barrier. And as long as you're not doing something called piercing the corporate veil, where you're commingling business and personal, then if someone decides to come after your business, they can't then come after your personal, right? If you have a home, but your business is not valued as high as your home, and this person wants to sue you, they can now possibly come against all of your personal property when your business is not formed correctly. So that's one of the biggest and I would say greatest and best benefits of forming a business from day one.
Right. Gotcha. And for those of us who have been in the business world for a minute, we've done the LLC, we've done all of the things that we should do in regards to starting our businesses, and we've been running them for a while. What are some things that you often find with us that we're not thinking about when it comes to taxes?
I feel a lot of business owners don't think about the growth of their business. So most business owners that start off, if they're not a sole proprietor, they start their business as an LLC. That's like the common norm thing to do in most cases, right? Well, as your business begins to generate a net profit, normally around 30,000 plus, every year, it may be time for you to consider shifting from not just an LLC, but an LLC taxed as an S corporation. When you make this shift, it means that once you become an S corp, the net profit that you generate is not subject to taxes. Everything flows through your personal. So you can save tremendously when you shift your business as your company grows, even sometimes considering a C Corp, because there is a 21% tax savings when you become a C Corp, but there are some other stimulations that you really want to pay close attention to. I guess to sum up the answer to your question, as your business grow, you want to think about the best structure for the growth of your business.
Gotcha. Okay. So I can remember initially when we started our business, our first business, my husband and I, we incorporated as an LLC. And then I remember our accountant at the time coming to us and saying, okay, you all really need to shift to an S Corp instead of just a regular LLC. Now, I just want to make sure that I'm understanding. Because this, of course, is not my world. I have to deal with the numbers, but not really. Now that we're an S Corp, that net profit that we see at the end of the year tends to roll over to our tax return.
Personally, yes.
Personally. Okay. But if you're just an LLC, tell me what the difference is between those two.
Oh, this is a great question. So if you're just an LLC and let's say you have a net profit of $30,000, right? Let's kind of do the math. If
Yeah.
you're an LLC, you have a net profit of $30,000. That means that you're taxed on that $30,000. As an S corp, from a business side, there are no taxes. It rolls to your personal side. And then whatever you have on your personal side, where the kid is kids or going to school or anything like that, that can really help. But if you are just an LLC and you make a net profit of $30,000, you can be taxed upwards of 16% plus, sometimes as high as 40 or 50%. So if we take $30,000 times 15%, that's $4,500. That's on the lower end as an LLC. It goes up from there when you are an LLC, but when you are an S Corp, you're not taxed on that net profit. It transfers over to your personal. And then depending on how you file your personal taxes, you can save tremendously.
Okay. And that's basically because you have other deductions on your personal taxes, such as, like you mentioned, kiddos, and if you have interest on your home or any of that stuff. Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
Exactly.
Got it. That's good to know. Okay. Well, we're doing that. So I love having these conversations because the goal, of course, is to help others, but I'm always asking questions that I need to know the answers to also, because I want to make sure we're doing things correctly.
Yeah. And what you need to know the answers to, others may need to know them as well. So you're helping others too.
Exactly. Exactly. Octavia, tell me, what's the one thing that you find most entrepreneurs don't think about when it comes to taxes?
I believe the one thing most entrepreneurs don't think about is how to strategically spend in their business. There are ways to strategically spend money to reduce your taxable income. And a lot of times entrepreneurs are not doing tax planning. So they're just kind of spending, they're not keeping track of anything. And then at the end of the year, they're like, oh my goodness, I have this huge tax bill that they could have avoided if they would have plan for taxes and then strategically spend correctly throughout the year.
Yeah. And, so that really brings me to a point, kind of a personal point. I have found that every single CPA, every single one that I've ever worked with, it's always, they kind of talk about the tax planning, but I find we as small business owners get really busy and we don't take the time to sit down with our CPA and talk through those things. I know I'm so guilty of that. And they email us at the end of every year. Hey, we need to sit down and talk. Well, the end of the year is our busy season. So I don't have time to talk. What would you recommend for those of us like that who are literally running around just trying to stay above water when it comes to making sure we get with our CPA? How often should we be doing that?
I think you should be doing it at least quarterly. I recommend working with a tax accountant, CFO, or CPA that will have quarterly meetings with you to identify your progress and help you plan going forward. One of the things we do here at Say Yes to Profits, if we are providing tax planning and preparation services for our clients, is that at the beginning of the year, we meet with them. We have an exclusive tax sheet that we give all of our clients. And then at least once a quarter, we have a tax discussion. And by doing it this way, it allows them to keep like a bird's eye view on their taxes, but not kind of think about it every single day. But at least if you're looking at it every quarter, you can spot things and you can figure out ways to reduce your taxes and not wait to the end of the year. And then again, you have this tax bill. So at least quarterly, and then maybe one annual planning session at the top of the year.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I'm going to work on that because I am horrible. Tell me, what is one of the strategies? You mentioned that there's some strategies behind reducing your taxable income. What are one or more of those strategies?
Well, one tax strategy would be understanding the home office deduction. Many small business owners are afraid to take the home office deduction because it is known, sort of a myth in the tax world, that if you take the home office deduction, you will get audited. And that's honestly not really the case. You just want to make sure that you do it correctly and you have an actual home office. Once you have a clear understanding of it and you file your taxes correctly with the home office deduction, you can save upwards of 15 plus $1,000 on one tax return, just depending on how you handle everything.
Gotcha. That sounds good. The home office deduction, that is definitely important. And I know that's something that we do because my husband and I both, we have our office outside of home, but we also have offices at home that we do a little bit different stuff, but we definitely work from home as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for sharing that strategy with us because that is really important. Now, I know, of course, you started your own business and left your 9 to 5. You kicked it to the curb in 2011. Tell me, how has your entrepreneurial journey been?
Well, I call my entrepreneur journey the broke, busted, and disgusted journey. But I always say it didn't stop there. We experienced a major breakthrough. But it all started with me just kind of jumping into the world of entrepreneurship after working with my sister as her bookkeeper. I often say that was when I was bit by the entrepreneur bug. And since I came from corporate America and I was making close to 6 figures as a CFO for a pharmaceutical company, I figured I would be there for myself in no time. And that's not what happened. I didn't have my money in order. I wasn't keeping, my finances together, wasn't really handling everything correctly. And I went through a broke period where I was making 6 figures to ended up having a negative $152 in my bank account. Hiding a car in the garage, 1 month away from foreclosure. It was bad. Wow. But it didn't stop there, though. I always say there was a breakthrough, and the breakthrough happened when I did a lot of mindset work, a lot of money mindset, handling my money correctly, went back to corporate America part-time, worked my business part-time. And then when I came back out the second time, I came back out correctly, and I was actually a 6-figure business owner at that time.
That's fantastic. What would you say was that mindset shift that you needed? Because I feel like a lot of us have money stuff, right? Mm-hmm. What was that shift for you?
I call it money blocks whenever I'm, coaching and consulting with my clients. And the shift for me was that you had to think and operate like a CEO. And a CEO is going to stay on top of when their invoices go out and the payment status. They're going to stay on top of making sure that they're paying their bills on time and that they're closing their books, or they have someone that is closing their books every month. I feel like a CEO is going to sit down and look at their numbers, right? And really understand what the numbers are trying to tell them. And when I first started, I just wanted to do bookkeeping at the time for business owners. So I wasn't doing any bookkeeping, any money mindset work for myself. I was kind of sabotaging myself. Like, how can you really be a 6-figure business owner, even though I was making 6 figures in corporate America? So I really had to work through all of that money garbage in my head in order to take the company to the next level.
Yeah. It definitely can be hard to shift, to make that shift in your mindset, because I feel like I still have some limiting beliefs around money, especially when it comes to growing a business. I feel like I have kind of a mental block on, okay, how can I take a 7-figure business to 8 figures? What do I need to do to make that happen? And it's all very hard.
Yeah.
What would you recommend? I know you've kind of been through. What would you recommend someone who's struggling with that right now?
What I come to realize out of the 11 years we've been in business, every level that you want to strive to, there's going to be money blocks and limited beliefs before you can get to that level. One of the things I would recommend is recognizing those, right? Recognizing when you're saying negative things to yourself, recognize it immediately and change the story, change the thought, flip it to benefit you and flip it to what you want to see, whether you're seeing it at that time. And then not only that, but operate in that way. I can't stress enough how important it was for me to say, what would the $1 million Octavia do? How would the $1 million Octavia operate her CFO firm? And when I started to ask myself those questions and study those that were out there doing it, it came sooner than I even thought it was even possible. So you really got to really focus on the thoughts that you have and the things that you say out of your mouth and change them immediately.
I love that. And I love your question. What would the $1 million Octavia do? That's a good one. I like that a lot. I wrote that down. I'm going to reframe that for myself. Yes.
Now I'm at the phase where you just mentioned, I'm like, okay, so what would the 8-figure earner, what would she do? How would she act? What would she say? So I'm at that phase now where I'm asking myself that constantly and really trying to identify how to act like that 8-figure business owner, how to show up like her so that I can become her.
Right, exactly. It's funny because you kind of made me think of, you always hear that phrase, the cobbler with the shoes, like their kids are the last people to get the shoes. And you were similar in that you were kind of the last person to take care of your own books, but you were taking care of everybody else's. Yeah. And I think that happens with us a lot, like just with our businesses in general, whatever we're doing, we're always the last to serve ourselves while we're serving others.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's true. Honestly, I felt like a hypocrite because I was like, I'm handling, all of these large companies' books, and then my QuickBooks is behind 6, 7, 8 months. My accounting system, my taxes hadn't been done in this amount of time. And I was like, girl, you got to get it together. That's not business-like. That's not cute. And that's not going to get you to the next level.
Right. I gotcha. So one of the things that really stood out to me when I got your information, Octavia, you have a statement that says on your sheet, you mentioned a formula to help double or triple our revenue and profits in 12 months or less. Can you share with us that formula today?
What I can tell you, because of course the deep dive of the formula is exclusively for the clients that say yes to profits. But what I can honestly say, as far as the formula, the first step is to get your finances in order, right? You have to, what I call, sort your Benjamins. Get your accounting system in order, get your finances in order, and know where your money is coming from and why, right? Basically, who are your top selling clients? How did they find you, or how did you find them? And do you like working with them? And if so, find more of them, because birds of a feather flock together, right? And then the second part would be your service offerings and your prices. You really want to make sure that your prices are priced for profit. And that is a huge mistake that a lot of business owners make. And when you think about your service offering or your revenue model, as most would say, you want to make sure that you don't have to have like 30 services, products, packages, or, offerings in the marketplace to cross the $1 million mark. Honestly, you really just have to focus on that one thing that you want to be known for, the life cycle of your clients, and how you can serve them at every level as it aligns with your business, and laser focus in on that, and you'll cross the $1 million mark faster than you think.
Love that. Let me ask you, as you grow your business, and I love the name, Say Yes to Profits, how do you work? Because I know you're a CPA, but do you also operate as a fractional CFO for companies? Tell me about your business model.
Yes, I operate as a fractional CFO for companies. The way that we work with businesses across the United States is not like your traditional accountant or CPA firm. Yes, we do the bookkeeping, the taxes, accounts payable, receivables, payroll. We handle all of that. But we combine that type of service or those services with financial coaching and consulting. So basically, we take the numbers from your financials and then we help you leverage those numbers to scale your business faster. Now, it is my belief that because we're combining like the basic bookkeeping, accounting, and all of those things with financial coaching and consulting, our clients grow faster because typically about 90% of our clients will grow anywhere between 30% and 350 within 12 months. And again, I truly feel that's because of the financial coaching and consulting, which a lot of business owners need, but they're not receiving.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I mean, I can look at my books and look at the reports that I get and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't necessarily, I mean, I understand a P&L and all of that, but I don't really dive deep enough to say, okay, this is where our profit is, and this is where we need to grow this in this area.
Yep. And that's exactly what we do on a consistent basis. And then we throw a little taxes on top, what you need to do to reduce your taxes. And, you know, most businesses are in a really good financial position.
Right. What other steps should we take as we go? I mean, we're moving already towards the end of 2022, which is crazy to me, into 2023. As we're ending up this year, what are some steps we should be taking to end off this year in a good position to go into 2023?
Now, that is a really, really good question. And the first thing that I would say is to create a cash flow forecast for the next 90 days in business and then keep it up to date. The reason I recommend a cash flow forecast is because it will position you as the business owner to be proactive, right? A lot of times we're looking at what has happened. Well, what has happened has happened. The only thing that you can do is learn from it, right?
Right.
But you can shift and look at what you project will happen in the future. And then you can spot money leaks. You can spot ways you're leaving money on the table. You can spot tax strategies when you are always proactive in operating your business and you're being proactive at looking at your money. And a cash flow forecast will be the tool and the game changer to help you proactively manage everything in your business and then scale faster.
Gotcha. So can you, just for those of us who may not know, can you define a cash flow forecast?
Yes. So a cash flow forecast is where you're looking at all of the ways money will leave and enter your business. So with the cash flow forecast, you're going to look at how money will come in, whether it's revenue, whether it's grants, loans, owners' investments. And then you're also going to pay attention to how all of the ways money will leave out. Money will leave out, of course, void expenses, as well as owner's pay, as well as credit card payments, loan payments, and things of that nature. So when you're looking at a cash flow forecast, every single week, you're looking at all of the ways money will enter and all of the ways money will leave. And then that bottom number will tell you your ending cash balance. If that number is not positive consistently, you have a problem. You have more money leaving than you do entering, and you want to fix that problem because cash is your business's superpower. And without enough cash, you can say yes to profits and still have no cash. So you want to make sure you're watching that consistently.
Yes, yes, and yes. Because I tell you what, as a young business owner and who was a business major, but coming out of school, you know, you go into your corporate job and you do your job, right? But then when you swing it into your own business and you're having to literally do everything, because it's not just that one department you're working in. But I can remember sitting down with my accountant and I'm like, how do we have this much profit, but I don't have this much money?
Yes.
And he explained it and I'm like, oh, okay, makes sense. Mm-hmm. But just my young brain at the time with the, you know, fresh out of school, new business, I'm like, I didn't know what was happening. And without cash, your business just cannot survive for very long.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Got to have the cash.
Yes.
Got to have the cash. Besides you not doing your own books on that first go round, you're now, you know, growing, you're excelling, you're doing wonderfully. But what would you say is one of your biggest challenges as an entrepreneur?
Building a team. building a team has been major. And I didn't think it was going to be this hard. But what I know is that you have to have a team and systems in place to cross the $1 million mark. I am a firm believer of that. And you have to have the right people on your team that buy into your vision and want to see it excel. And honestly, they're not just there for a paycheck. And sometimes it takes going through a couple of different people to find the right people. But that has been a major challenge. That is an ongoing challenge and is really important as you scale to 7 figures or 8 figures in your business.
Yes. Yes, and yes to that too. I find that building a team is a challenge for most people I talk to, because it's finding that right person. It's like you said, the vision. We as CEOs have to paint the vision, which sometimes we're figuring out the vision. It's like it's not crystal clear, and sometimes it changes. And wow. Yeah. Building a team, that is definitely a challenge. Do you find for most of your clients that payroll is their biggest expense?
Absolutely. Yes. It's funny you mentioned that. I just did a video today about that exact thing, really understanding the portion of income it takes for every line item. And in that video, I mentioned payroll is more than likely going to be your biggest expense, but payroll shouldn't be more than at least on the higher end, 40% of your total income earned. Once it starts teetering towards that amount, even that's a lot for payroll.
Right. I try to stick with a third.
Yep. No
more than a third. And that can be tough sometimes to get the right people who do buy into the vision and all of that stuff that you need to grow your business. Yeah. But yeah, payroll is a tough one. I honestly think that was probably my biggest issue for not the first few years, because we didn't have a lot of people on payroll. But then when we kind of had that chunk of time where we had a lot of people, but we really didn't have the revenue to cover it. And so we were using credit lines and not really getting creative on how to make it work. But now looking back on it, because hindsight is always 20/20, we weren't charging enough. And I thought we were definitely charging more than other people in our industry. So I'm thinking, we got this covered. But because of all the hands that have to touch our products, all of those hands cost something. We weren't charging enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. So and that's normally the case too. That's normally exactly what it is. Your prices, not price for profit. And that profit includes all of your costs in addition to what you want to save at the end as well. And a lot of business owners, they don't include all of their costs and their desired profit margin in with their price.
Right. Definitely have to look at all of that. I'm proud of you for growing your business. So how long have you been out again on your own full time?
11 years.
Congratulations.
11 years. Thank you.
What's one of the things that you would tell your younger self if you could turn back the hands of time?
I would say, girl, you got this. Stay confident, get your money in order, keep your money in order, and you'll be there before you know it.
Yeah. So I see your sign behind you. It says, Say Yes to Profit. And I see one that says, Say Yes to Profit podcast. So tell me a little bit about your podcast and where can we find it?
The podcast is on YouTube and, of course, on our website as well. We have a video and audio version of it. And the podcast is centered around helping business owners say yes to profits and say yes to cash flow and reduce their taxes. So all of our content is centered around those topics. Also, I deep dive into the money mindset as well, because money blocks will hinder a lot of business owners from going to that next level. So you can find us again on YouTube as well as sayyes2profits.com.
Well, I'm going to start listening to your podcast because I definitely, again, I've gotten over that. I hit that mark. You set your eye on a mark, 6 figure, 7 figure, whatever it may be. And I've done that. But now I'm like, okay, the next step. And I need that money mindset piece for sure. But also I need to make sure that we're focused on these taxes and all of the cash flow and all of the things. I just know I can do better and I want to do better. So I'm going to start listening.
Yay.
I'm excited. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Tell us how we can find you.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Octavia Conner CFO, and that's Connor with an ER, as well as Say Yes to Profits. Our handle for Say Yes to Profits is on Instagram, YouTube, and every other platform that is out there. And then, like I said, as well as sayyes2profits.com and Octavia Conner CFO.
Well, Octavia Conner CFO, I appreciate you so much for being here today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I want to again thank Octavia so much for sharing with the Become Your Own Boss podcast audience. Our finances and our money is such a vital part of our business because without it, we aren't in business. And the amount we pay in taxes impacts our family and livelihood. I hope this episode has brought you value and you have found some takeaways that can help you in your business starting right now. Octavia's contact info is located in the show notes. Thanks for listening today. As always, I'm so grateful for you. Please take a moment to follow me on Instagram for business tips and inspiration at Become Your Own Boss Podcast. Take a moment to leave a review, subscribe to the podcast so you can get notifications as soon as the new episode is posted, and share this podcast with a friend. Now is the time. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.